been an eternity.
Hey everyone, I'm John from Let's Talk, and today we're going to be talking about Edge of Tomorrow, or Live, Die, Repeat, whatever title you call it, and its brand new 4K Blu-ray release. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, TV reviews, video game reviews, we try and do them all here on this channel, and nothing helps out the channel more than by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Live, Die, Repeat was released in 2014 and is directed by Doug Liman and is actually co-written by Christopher McQuarrie, who's worked a lot with the star of this movie, Tom Cruise. But this movie also stars Emily Blunt, Bill Paxton, and Brendan Gleeson, just to name a few of the main stars of this cast. And this is a very popular movie. People have been talking about this movie since it was released. People have been asking for a sequel to this film, and it is a very popular, very enjoyable summer blockbuster from when it was originally released. And I myself am a very big fan of this film, and I was very excited to get my hands on this new 4K release just because I couldn't wait to revisit this film. And I really, even though this movie is really pitched as a co-starring movie between Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, and it really is, this movie is Emily fucking Blunt's movie. She is so awesome in this movie. I would put her up there with the Sigourney Weavers or the Linda Hamiltons of the 80s as far as female action stars. You know, she is incredible in this movie. This is my favorite Emily Blunt movie by far. She is so good in this movie. She is the one really leading Tom Cruise. So Tom Cruise is a public relations officer. That means he doesn't really get his hands dirty, but he still works for the U.S. Army. So he's in London. There's about to be an attack on a beach because this movie follows in this world, aliens have invaded Earth, and they're in London. They're pushing up. They're getting across, they're trying to, you know, take over the entire world, but right now they have a plan that the next day they are going to storm this beach and they are going to defeat the aliens because they're making pretty good progress. Emily Blunt's character is very famous. They're using her in a lot of war propaganda film and a lot of war propaganda ads to get people to join the army to fight these aliens. And Tom Cruise's character is on the news trying to get people to join up because they need everybody to fight these things. They have new technology, these new, they got these, suits that you get into, and you know, they have guns in the hands and everything, and you're really, the suit's doing a lot of the work. It's talking about future army technology, and this is you know, Tom Cruise is promoting it, he's getting people to join, but he will not get his hands dirty. And that really pisses off a lot of people. Apparently it pisses off the entire U.S. Army because they allowed Brendan Gleeson to become his commanding officer. And Brendan Gleeson, you know what he's doing? He's sending him to war. He's going to the beach tomorrow. And when he gets to that beach tomorrow, he is not going to be happy. So he tries to, you know, get out of it, but Brendan Gleeson labels him a deserter. He ends up in Bill Paxton's squad. And he throws Tom Cruise in the J squad, and Bill Paxton is the leader. And Bill Paxton does not take very kindly to deserters. So he's pretty much bullying this guy. He knows he's going to die tomorrow. He's weak. And that's pretty much what they've sent him to do. And Tom Cruise does bring up the fact that he's been railroaded. And you know what? I don't disagree with him. Yeah, is he definitely squirmy and scummy in the fact that he's sending people to their deaths essentially, but he's not willing to put his own life on the line? Yeah, he is, and he probably should be taught a lesson for that. But sending him to die? It's a little drastic for my taste, I'm not gonna lie. He does have some good points about the fact that they have sent him in there. But you know what? Luckily they did, because on that first day when he's out there and they drop him in there, some of the alien's blood gets on his face, which eventually creates a Groundhog Day style time loop. But luckily for him, he gets to meet Emily Blunt's character, Vertasky, and she herself was stuck in a time loop for a very long time, so she knows all the rules and she knows exactly what to do to have Tom Cruise help them save the world from an alien invasion. So, without diving too much into spoilers, that's the basic outline of this movie. Shenanigans ensues. We get plenty of montages of Tom Cruise repeating day after day. We get, you know, learning the tricks and everything he can do, just like in Groundhog Day. You know, as each day goes on, you learn everything new because everything is happening over and over. And you know what? With the Groundhog Day style, I really did love how this movie played out. This movie checks a lot of my boxes. I'm a big sci-fi guy. I love anything to do with time, and time loops especially. Some of my favorite movies ever are Groundhog Day and The Terminator, which all deal with time or time loops. And it's also got, you know, some great actors in it. And it's very well directed. It's got everything I could ask for in a film, and it's awesome. It's an awesome action summer blockbuster with a sci-fi twist on it. And that for me is perfect, because that's just what I eat up for breakfast every day. And definitely, it also doesn't take all the tropes of it. It takes the tropes and kind of flips them on the head. I do like the fact that they show that like he's getting annoyed with the fact that every day is repeating itself and he's just trying to reason with people. Like, come on, we don't got to do this today. But, you know, he understands in the end, like, these people have no idea that you've repeated the same day thousands upon thousands of times. So it's just funny to watch Tom Cruise get frustrated with the fact he has to deal with some assholes in the army every day. But you know what? That's how life is, and that's the life that he's unfortunately stuck in the moment. But then you get Emily Blunt's character, who did go through all this, and her and this other doctor, they're trying to have him find what they call the Omega, and that's going to actually end this war. It's kind of like, you know, if you take down... It's like a power grid. You take down one, they all go out. So that's pretty much what they're trying to do with these aliens. They have to take down the Omega, and once they figure out where that is, they will win, because that will end every single one of the aliens that are out in the world right now. And through all that, we get some incredibly shot action scenes. It is unbelievably beautiful. Actually, the visual effects in this movie are pretty stunning. Even, you know, this is an 8-year-old movie now, but, you know, I've ragged on some bad sci-fi, some bad CGI from the early 2000s, and this movie has some very good CGI. You know, I believed everything on screen that I was seeing. You know, obviously there's some little dips in the quality, but it's very rare, and it's very hard to notice. So overall, it looked phenomenal. It's very well acted. Emily Blunt is just incredible. And you know what? Bill Paxton. You know, if I didn't know that was Bill Paxton going into the movie, I wouldn't have believed that was Bill Paxton. He plays this army sergeant perfectly. He is so good in this role. You know, he really does fall into this role. I don't believe that's Bill Paxton. That's not the Bill Paxton I know from Aliens, and he does a great job in it. R.I.P. to Bill Paxton, because just right up until the end, this guy was acting in some great movies and putting in the work, and I really did love his performance in this movie. But like I said, Emily Blunt is the star of this movie. She is a badass. She is the one teaching Tom Cruise everything. So we're used to Tom Cruise being the guy, you know, he's the hero. It's always, you know, that's what Tom Cruise does. It's very hard to buy into the fact that Tom Cruise could ever be weak. But you know what? He is weak in this movie. He starts out very weak, actually, and he needs to be taught every single thing, and that's what Emily Blunt does. From beginning to end, Emily Blunt never wavers. She is strong. She's going to teach him how to kill. She's not scared. Actually, she's such a soldier, she's willing to die whenever she is asked to. And that is incredible from a, you know, and honestly, from a female led action movie, it is awesome to see. And Emily Blunt is so good in this movie, and we really should cherish the work that she's done, like in movies such as The Quiet Place or Quiet Place Part 2. She is good in every role that she's ever been in, and Edge of Tomorrow, I believe, is her crowning achievement. So it's definitely a recommendation as far as a film goes for me. If you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, I definitely can say check it out. But you know what? While we're here, let's talk about this brand new Edge of Tomorrow 4K Blu-ray release. So Warner Brothers put out this 4K Blu-ray of Edge of Tomorrow. It actually does have two versions. It's got the steelbook that I have, and it also has a version with a slipcover. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, I would have preferred the version with the slipcover, but I ordered the steelbook, and I don't really think it's the greatest design, actually. I think it's actually pretty bland, if you're asking me. It's got a matte finish all the way around, no slipcover or anything like that. And it's really just looks like they kind of printed the poster with like a silver background on it. So I'm not a huge fan of this steelbook. It's still pretty nice. I do enjoy, actually, the inside with the double-sided box art. I do like how they stack the discs. It's actually not as bad as some of them. It looks like it might be with that double stack feature, but it's actually not as bad. So I didn't mind that as much, but I think I would have preferred the slipcover version to this. But that's just personal preference. You might actually really like this. You know, I still am very happy to have it. The star of this, and this is where I want to really start, is the audio. So this has a Dolby Atmos track, and it has a Dolby 7.1 on here as well. Let me just tell you, this might be the best Atmos track that I have actually heard. It is incredible from beginning to end. This is going to put your speakers to work. It feels like it's shooting around the room. It's done amazingly. Really great use of the rears, good use of the woofers, good use of the front speakers. Whoever did the sound mixing on this really deserves an achievement, an award or something, because they did some great work. That is the star of this show, is the Dolby Atmos track. And you know what? for an action sci-fi film like this, it really does deserve it because there is a lot of fighting scenes in this movie. There's a lot of scenes of battle. There's a lot of flying things. There's a lot of flying scenes with helicopters, and you really want to hear those blades spinning around the room, which is one of the best features you can use in Dolby Atmos, is to get that feeling of that. You know, you want to hear the guns firing from all different parts of your room, and they really did nail that with this Atmos track. I can't say a bad thing about it. I was blown away by it. I had heard before I even got this that this Atmos track was special, and boy, they might have actually undersold it, because this is one of the best Dolby Atmos tracks that I've ever heard, and I am so excited that I got it for that, and I got to give my speakers a real test. But the only downside to that is I would have liked the visuals to be just as high quality as the audio, and let me just say, unfortunately, they're not. Now, this is upscaled to 4K, and they threw some HDR10 on there. There is no Adobe Vision despite having Dolby Atmos, and it really just does look like the Blu-ray with HDR on it. And that's not bad, because this is a 2014 film, so it's shot digitally, and you know, it's using high-quality cameras, so it still does look good. But like for certain movies that I've watched, older movies, and I've been blown away by them being restored or anything like that, and I get you're not going to restore an 8-year-old film, but it would have been nice if there was a little more effort put into the visuals that was put into the audio. That's all I would have liked personally. It still looked great, but there were certain scenes, especially scenes in the dark, where HDR10 should have made them look darker. It should have been a little bit easier to see, especially at the end, that really didn't work for this. And I'm a little disappointed to say that as far as visually, you know, it wasn't the best. There were certain scenes where I was blown away by actually how the HDR worked on it, and then there was other scenes where I wasn't. So I'm a little confused. It's a very, you know, like kind of 50-50 deal. And let me just stress that it's not bad. Like I'm like poking holes in it. It's just that I felt like with the audio quality set up, the visuals should have lived up to what the audio is, and they really just didn't. Now, a real downer to this whole set is the extras. So there's none on the 4K Blu-ray, so there is a second Blu-ray in here, and that is literally just a carbon copy of the old Blu-ray, right down to the menu system, previews, and everything. So they just threw that in there, so that's got all the extras that were on an old Blu-ray disc in here. Nothing new was added. I mean, that's a little bit disappointing, and again, you know, that's just, unfortunately, that's usually what we get when we get studios that release films. This isn't your Kino Lorbers, this isn't your Criterions, this isn't your Arrow videos. That's why we promote them so heavily on this channel, is because those are the people that are going to put a lot of extra work into everything, whereas this, it's Warner Brothers. They didn't put in the extra effort to go get a retrospective on this film or talk about why this film got so popular and why people would want a sequel all these years later. I would have liked to see definitely some more extras on here, but there is a few, they're just nothing really appetizing to them, and I'm very disappointed in that. But, you know, maybe one day, maybe in another 10 years, maybe in 2024, we get a 10th anniversary edition, and they all look back on the achievement that they made in this film, because it really is an achievement. It's such a well-made movie. But I don't know, that's just me speculating. Maybe that's just me being hopeful. But overall, as an entire package, I love the movie. I didn't have a Blu-ray of this, so I was really happy to have this added to my collection. I definitely think if you can have the option between the slipcover or the steelbook, I would personally choose the slipcover. The visuals are okay. The audio is the shining star. If you are an audiophile, it would definitely do you a disservice not to have this in your collection. And I am very glad that I have it in mind, and I hope you guys do too. So as of right now, it's not on HBO Max despite being a Warner Brothers property, but you can rent it for $3.99 from Amazon, so there's always plenty of ways to check out this film, and I definitely can recommend it. And I can recommend that you grab this 4K as well. And as always, guys, thank you so much for being a fan of Let's Talk and joining me here today. Nothing helps us out more than you sharing, and subscribing, and you telling all your friends.